I cannot stress enough how important it is to have these people in your life. And I'm back. I'm just getting in from a very long day. Very, very long day. One of my babies, one of my students, did not have a good day today. But I supported him as much as I possibly could. And he finally said, why he was not having a good day. And so we dealt with that. And so he went home pretty good, but Granny had to come home and make some tea. This helps me. Oh my gosh, this helps me in so many ways. Tonight, I want to deal with three things that I got right. There are many more. Just like in last night's video, I talked about three things that I did not do right after a life of abuse. There were more things in that, way more. But those three things were the top three. So if you missed that, go back one. Go back a video. It's in the playlist. It's in the Vlogmas playlist. So, and I'm going to link it down in the description area for you to make it easier for you. But, yeah, tonight I'm going to talk about three things that I actually got right. The first thing I did was I did not play games with myself. Y'all, sometimes we do too much, and not necessarily with other people. Sometimes we do too much with ourselves. We play too much sometimes. And I was not about to do that. I was not about to get out of one relationship and go into another relationship. You have to guard yourself with people who do that, who do not allow themselves time to heal from one relationship to the next. And there's really no set time or anything of how long you should wait before you jump into another one. I chose to wait a while. I chose to wait a while. I don't care what anybody else does, but for me, I choose to focus on healing because I don't want to ever deal with that ever again. I do not. That is a lesson. I want to make sure that the last person I was with, I want to make sure that I learned, and I learned very well. So I do not want to repeat that ever again. That was the only relationship that I had, other than family members, that I dealt with abuse. Anyone else I ever dated, I never dealt with that, ever. My ex-husband was the only one. I do not want to do that. And so for me, not playing games with myself is very important. I am not playing with that because I feel like I am worth it. I feel like I am very valuable. I am a very valuable person. I am to me, anyways. I don't care how anybody else values me. I value me. That's what's important. And I felt like I needed to go. So I left. And so one of the things that I did to show myself that I wasn't playing is I dealt with my emotions. Every emotion I felt about any and everything about the situation, I dealt with. I did not avoid it. I did not um, I did not dismiss it. I dealt with it. And if I was really mad about something, I dealt with being mad. If I was sad about something, I dealt with being sad and why I was sad. If I was happy about something, I dealt with why I was happy about it. Is this something I should continue with, or is this something that's no longer serving me? Even if it made me happy, still I need to know, is it worth keeping? Or do I need to get rid of it? Have I grown from that? And I dealt with every emotion. Let me tell you, after leaving my ex-husband and we were separated, I set a timer on my clock, on my phone. I set a reminder to go off 7 days. And I allowed myself to feel any and everything there was to feel. I did. When that timer went off, it felt like I had awakened. It did. It felt like wake I had woke up. And it was like this dream was over. And it was time to get busy. And that I did. I made sure that I called everybody that I need, because I created a plan for how I wanted my life to look like before I even did that. This is how I want my life to look. But I knew I could not move forward without dealing with how I felt about things. So I did not want to be in denial about anything. So I allowed myself 1 week to deal with my own emotions, not anybody else's. I didn't talk to anybody. I only spoke with my own self and how I felt about any and everything. Whether it was my decisions or his decisions, it didn't matter. I dealt with them because it was important. And I'm like, I'm too precious to allow these things to get me down and to keep me down. I have a life to live and I plan to enjoy it. So it was important to me to deal with my emotions. So that's what I did. I think that was one of the best decisions I ever made. I really do. Dealing with my emotions, how I truly, truly felt about things. I named my feelings, how I really felt. If I was disappointed, I called it out and I said why. If I was discouraged, I said it. I called it out and I said why. But I also said what I could do to combat that, to make things better so I can feel better about things. And one of the things that, excuse me, one of the things that I did was the second thing I did right was I sought for a mental health therapist, a mental health therapist, and a spiritual advisor. I did both. To me, they were important. And for me, it was important to have them hand in hand. I feel like, well, let me put it to my life. I feel like mental health therapy and your spirituality go hand in hand because they're almost like twins. You can't have one without the other. Your mental health, when it's like when you deal with your mental health, a lot of things you end up talking about some of your personal belief systems, which goes into your spirituality. And when you're dealing with your spiritual advisor, a lot of times you end up finding out that some things they cannot deal with, and they will advise you if you have a spiritual advisor that really has your um, good intentions towards you. They will tell you you need to go see a mental health therapist. Mine did, but I was already seeing one before she said so. I made up in my mind I was seeing any and everybody I felt like that could help me because this was something serious. I had never experienced this before, and I don't want to and wanted to ever repeat. So I wanted to get it right. I wanted to get it right the first time. I did not want to have a repeat. I did not want to even have the fear of the next person that I date or I'm with, that these thoughts of, okay, they just got a little bit upset. I wonder what's going to happen next. I don't want any of that. So dealing with a mental health therapist really helped me because he guided the conversation. He guided the conversation and caused me to realize some things that I had not thought about. And so that worked on that end. And my spiritual advisor did the same thing. She was the one who helped me to realize it's not important. It's important to do the healing work and it's important to do the protection work. But it was even more important for me to do them both together because I'm the type of person I can focus on one thing too long, and then I forget about the other thing. And I was just doing healing, 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 but no protection. And then there were times where I would just do protection, 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 and no healing work. And she said, the reason why things are coming up the way they are is because you need to do both. Once she said that, and she gave some suggestions. Why can't I talk today? I think I'm tired. My student wore me out. She gave me some great suggestions, and I took them to heart, and I wrote a plan for everything that she said. I took everything to heart. I wrote a plan for it. And I said, okay, this is how I'm going to do this. And I did it, and it worked. And she saw the results of it. She felt the results of everything that I did, and which made me happy because I was like, I hope she realizes that I've been doing it. And but she did. She did. And she did. She realized everything that I was doing and that I was growing. And you could tell by every time we had another session, she could tell. She could tell that I had been doing the work. That's another thing. That's another reason why not playing with myself is important to me. Your mental health therapist and your spiritual advisor can tell if you're doing your work or not. If they give you something to do, if they make suggestions on what you can do or what you need to do, or who they would like to refer you to, if they feel like you need something else in your life, if you have not done it, you don't even have to tell them. They'll know. They will know. As soon as you open your mouth, they'll know. Some of them are so good, they could just read your face. They know. So you think you're playing them? No, you're playing yourself. And so I just was not going to do that. I'm so glad I made the decision to do it the way I did. I got that right. Y'all, I got that right. And once I dealt with my emotions and everything, and I spent some time with my spiritual advisor and my mental health therapist, it made it so much easier to create a plan for how I was going to make my life the way I wanted it to be. It made it so much easier. And yeah, I did it right. That's all I can really say. I did it right. Y'all, you have no idea what doing the work of those you solicit their help for them to help you with, like your therapist and your spiritual advisor. Y'all, if they give you some work to do it. It will be in your best interest to do it. Don't play around. You are too precious. You are way more valuable than that. Do not set that stuff aside. Do the work. They are there to help you. Allow them to do that. Because sometimes, especially things like this, when you come in out of a life of abuse, you need some help. You really do. You need some help because you are so wounded. Although you're high functional and you're able to go to work and you're able to pay your bills and you're able to complete your degree and you're able to do all the things that you really want to do, sometimes you wonder why a lot of things get blocked and stopped. And sometimes, even though things will work out in your favor, you still can't figure out why you're not happy. You need to go and find a mental health therapist and a spiritual advisor. I cannot stress that enough. Those two. Those are great wins right there. Yeah, I did those things, and I made a plan, and I worked the plan out. I got it right. The third thing that I did was spend more time with me. Spend more time with me, meaning I got to know more of what my likes and my dislikes were versus other people's likes and dislikes. Growing up as a child, I developed codependency as a child. I had been exposed to abuse. So I learned codependency. It when as a child, it worked for me. It did. It worked for me. But I stayed there too long. I did. I stayed there too long. I started being there because other people in the family, they needed me. And so I was the strong one. I was the one who wasn't all, emotional, too emotional to do anything. I wasn't the one who was just going to sit around and cry. And I'm still not that person. My mind goes. It's like, okay, this has happened. So what are you going to do? I ask myself these things and I get busy. And I don't care who I need to find to help me with that. I find the appropriate people. I'm very picky about that. Yes, I do care. It's like I care, but I don't care. Okay, that doesn't make sense. But what I mean is, I don't care who I need to find, meaning, if I need a therapist, I find a therapist. If I need a fireman, I find a fireman. If I need a policeman, I find a policeman. If I need CPS, I find someone who works there. And I get things in action. I put things in action. I get things going, and everything generally works out in my favor because I put things in action. I don't talk about it, I walk about it. That's the way I've always been. And so it made me feel good that my mental health therapist and my spiritual advisor could tell that I had been doing the work that they suggested to me and things for me to consider. Most in general, especially with my mental health therapist, he didn't really give me a lot to do. He gave me a lot to consider and to think about so we could talk about it the next time. And he would ask, okay, have you thought about such and such and such? What are your thoughts on that? He was so impressed that I had developed so many coping skills when we first met. He said that because he was writing the whole time I was talking when we first met, and I noticed he had stopped writing, and so he didn't tell me stop writing. He's talking. He just listened, and so when I did stop, he said, I've never seen anybody with as many coping skills as you. How do you have so many? I said, what do you mean? Because I was just talking, which is something I love to do. You can tell because as long as my videos are, y'all know I love to talk. And the only reason why this one may be a little bit shorter is because I'm tired. And you can tell because I'm slurring a lot of my words. I am tired. And I've been up since 4 a.m. and it is now 6:05 p.m. So yeah. So he said, I wrote down 11. He said, but I stopped counting at 21. He said, and you were still rolling them off. He said, how does one have so many coping skills? I said, well, my life. I said, that's all I could think of. Every time somebody made me mad, if this thing that I normally would do that would make me happy didn't work, I would go to the next thing. And I would keep going until I felt better. And I said, and as I became older, I felt the need to add more things to that list. And then when it got to the point where I was doing a lot of writing, I think I was about 12 or 13 when that started. Yeah, I say about 12 or 13 when that started. And I've been writing ever since. It has proven to be the very best thing for me. And my mom noticed that I was writing, and she purchased a journal for me one time. It even had a lock and key. Unfortunately, my sisters found it, popped the lock, and I told Mama, don't buy me anymore. And I told her, I said, I'm just going to use a regular notebook. And I said, because they're going to think it's homework, so they won't look at it. So that's what I did. I had a regular spiral bound notebook, and I used that. They thought it was regular school notebook, so it didn't bother it. It didn't interest them. And so I just I just been writing ever since, and that's how I ended up being a published writer to this day. But those are the three things that I've done and I feel like I did right. I dealt with my emotions. I didn't play with myself. I um, saw a mental health therapist and a spiritual advisor, and I created a plan to get my life going. So yeah, you can tell I am extremely tired because I am slowing down. So I am going to get off here. But I wanted to share the three things that I got right. Like, I'm proud of myself. I am. I am proud of myself. I got it right. Because okay, because this thing is about 20 minutes long already. So in the next video, I will probably share the results of how I know I got these things right. And you know what? I should do one on the results of things of how I know I did things wrong. That one would make a good one. So I'll talk to y'all later because I got some things rolling in my head.